Hey everybody, welcome to the Warp. I'm Jack Rita, and this video is the first of three videos where we're going to look at the flares for the 25 aliens that would have been in Expansion 8 Cosmic Universe. But unfortunately, that expansion is not going to be published. But let's look at what we've got in that expansion anyway. Among other things, aliens, special systems, a giant box, and storage solution for base game and all 8 expansions. That was the plan. But right now, none of that is going to happen. So certainly let Fantasy Flight know if you'd love to see them crowdfund this expansion. But in the meantime, let's look at what these flares were. So they're at random. There's no particular order. So we're going to look at the first 8. So our first alien is Librarian. And this is one of those deck aliens. So the deck aliens, they start the game with their own cards, similar to an essence alien, but it's not the small essence cards. These are normal sized cards. And we're going to look at the flare, and if we need to, we'll revisit the alien. So the wild here, that's for anybody who is not the librarian. Librarian doesn't even need to be in the game. And if you lose as a main player, you reveal a card from your hand. Choose any player from the opposing side. If that player has a copy of the card, they must give it to you. So it, it's got to be the same card. So this is going to be one where, for certain things, it's not going to happen. But there are duplicates of a number of cards in the game. So as librarian, you might be able to score something out of that. It's nice to get something instead of getting nothing. For the super, after a player discards a card from their hand as a late fee, you may force them to keep it instead. So let's actually, we're going to go over here. I've got a document that I was using, and it's more up to date than even some of the sheets are. So the librarian, here it is. Whoops, I had it. There it is. Power of Codices. That's going to have, it's a deck alien, as you can see here. It's got these cards here that are, they're encounter cards, but they're also books. And, they're tomes is what we refer to them as. And so, once again, the flare here is after player discards a card from their hand as a late fee, you may force them to keep it instead. So, what are we talking about here? If a player already has a tome in their hand, they may announce, in which case you charge them a late fee by forcing them to discard a random card from their hand. So what normally happens is whenever the hyperspace gate is pointed at a planet in your system, you can use your power. You're giving them one of your tome cards. And these tome cards, they're bad. They're encounter cards, so you may end up having to play them. So, like the Cosmodex, if it's opposed by anything, the player playing it loses, and then your opponent has 1 minute to search the Cosmic deck for any card to add to their hand. So, yeah, this is, we can take a look here. This is what we had. So there's the Cosmodex. It's an encounter card, as you can see. So if they have one of these already, then, you're charging them a late fee because they're not playing the card. They still have this tome that they've checked out of the library. So you're forcing them to discard a card. But if they've discarded something that they're like, oh, good, I got rid of that. Or, they're discarding the tome, well, then you can force them to keep it. So that's what that one does. So there we have it. Our next one is Extremist. So this is the alien that all their negotiates, when they're revealed, are attack 25s. All their attack cards are negotiates. So let's look at the wild here. As a main player, if you or your opponent reveal a negotiate card, but the other doesn't, you may discard a negotiate card from your hand and force a deal situation. I love this flare because it gives you an opportunity to get into a deal situation, which may be better than whatever was going to be going on there. So pretty straightforward. For the super, as a main player, you may add all of your uninvolved ships on colonies to your total after cards are selected but before they are revealed. If you lose the encounter, all of those ships go to the warp in addition to normal losses. So this is a big bluff. It's pretty extreme, but I like it. It's pretty wacky, which is par for the course in Cosmic. So you might be like, all right, I need, I've got another 15 ships here. I'm going to add that 15. That should do it. but not always. And of course, you're hoping that they haven't played a card. You know, you're doing this after cards are selected. So hopefully, yeah, they're not going to pull a fast one on you. All right, Powerhouse. Now this is the alien. It wasn't ever really published, but it was a promo back in the Avalon Hill, like 2000, so about 24 years ago. It didn't have a flare, so we made one up. So as a wild here, at the end of your turn, so when you're in the offense, you may discard your hand. If you discarded a flare matching an alien not in the game or on the Powerhouse alien sheet, you may gain control of the alien for the rest of the game as an extra power. Give this flare to Powerhouse or discard it. So, you know, it's a nice little swan song there. You're gonna potentially get another alien, and then yeah, boom, that would be fun. And the super, when you receive a power cell from another player, you may place it face up on your sheet. So the way that Powerhouse works is it's going to have all these aliens as power cells, so unchosen aliens from the start of the game, and Powerhouse can use them, but they can also give another player a power cell in order to zap a flare or an artifact. And then it's at a later point they get to use that alien that you have given them. When they do, it's returned to you face down. But here with the super, you can return it face up so that you can then use it. So that could come in handy. All right, Union. Now this is the alien that if the totals are within 5 of each other, they can declare unity and both sides win. So as the ally with a wild, before encounter cards are revealed, if there is another ally with the same number of ships as you have in the encounter, you may return your ships to your colonies and force that ally to also return their ships. So, yikes. And then the super, you're boosting that as long as up to 10. So as long as the totals are within 10, you can use your alien power to declare unity. So that makes it a little bit easier for that alien to fire. All right, Navigator. So Navigator this is an alien that is going to be looking at cards at the top of the deck, and we can again go into here after hands are dealt. Whenever any player draws a new hand or uses alien powers or rewards, you use this power before the cards are drawn. You look at the top 2 cards of the deck that they are going to draw from, and then you can either leave one or both of them on top of that deck or move them to the bottom. So that can come in handy. So the wild here is when you're taking a compensation, you may first peek at the cards you were thinking of taking. This does not count as taking them. Keep all of those cards or set them aside and draw up to the same number of cards from that player's remaining hand. So you get a little potential do-over there. And the super is when you're using your power, you can peek at 4 cards instead of 2, move any number of them to the bottom. So just kind of doubles the effectiveness of your power normally. All right, Q. Now this was an alien. It was a Mayfair alien that changes the order of play. I jazzed it up a little bit with some tokens that add some effects. So let's look at the wild here. You may take the top 10 cards of the deck, arrange them in any order, and return them to the top of the deck. So I'd have to check, but I imagine that's pretty similar to what the Mayfair wild did. And then the super is when you give yourself an order token, you may use any or all effects for order tokens that that were not yet assigned to 2 players. So I imagine that is what Elemento PQ. Let's take a look at what we have here in the document for Q. Not yet assigned, so I don't know how that didn't get copied in right. But as you can see, the token effects here, you get to add 1 more ship than is normally allowed in the gate, or 1 fewer. You can have limit to only 1 ally. This is usually one you want to give someone else. There's 2 that are no effect. Here you get 2 cards for regrouping. Here you draw a card from the deck, and there's another one, discard a card from your hand. And so, yeah, in fact, I've got the tokens over here. So that is what they do. And so most of these, it's a mix. Some of them, you're like, this is the one I want to give to somebody else, probably give to somebody else, maybe one of these. You're keeping these other ones, get more cards, get more ships, get another card. Even discard a card can usually be pretty good because it's not random. Extra ship in the gate if you want. So with the super, you could use a bunch of those. So that's nice. Treasure is another deck alien, so it has these special cards that they can give out as rewards. So for the wild, as a winning defensive ally, you may offer the defensive main player 2 rewards. If they accept, gain an additional reward for yourself. So a little, spreading the love around is pretty good. The super is when someone plays one of your treasure cards, you may immediately discard your hand and draw a new hand. So that's just a nice little bonus. So the regular treasurer here, it's got these cards. When another player's when they play one of your treasure cards, instead of discarding, add to the sheet, and you get a foreign colony each time they return a treasure card, and there were none on it. So you got these 6 cards that they're all really good. People are going to want to play them, and the trick for you as treasurer is to just get rid of them all as fast as you can, so that when somebody does play it, you're getting a free colony. So here it's just it's kind of a little separate, but yeah, getting to draw a new hand is usually pretty handy. And then the last one we have here is Insurgent. So when it's taking compensation, it can take ships off of colonies. So the wild is if you lose an encounter as a main player, choose a ship belonging to your opponent and send it to the warp. So a little in your face. A lot of times it's just gonna be a nuisance, but every once in a while it's gonna be very impactful. And the super, as an ally, if your side negotiated, you may collect compensation for any ships you lost. So, and we probably would need to add a little bit more just to make sure, from the main player on the opposing side. So you're just basically getting to use your power as an ally, more or less. So that is pretty good as well. So there you have it, our first 8 flares. Let me know in the comments what you think of these. If anything, the Librarian one is one we might jazz up, but it's a green alert, and so some flares are meant to be useful a lot of the time, and some are meant to not be useful very often. Very niche case. And that was kind of where we were with that one. But I'm pretty happy with everything else. And some fun new effects, some interesting situations that you can deal with. That's it for this one, everyone. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.